Welcome, Deronda here with Foods 101. Today I'm showing you how to make butternut squash soup. Absolutely fantastic this time of the year. Butternut squashes, which I have right here, look what a beauty that is. They're abundant in your supermarkets right now throughout the US, and you're going to be looking for a 4-pound butternut squash. This recipe only calls for 6 ingredients, including this fabulous butternut squash. You're going to need 32 ounces of your vegetable broth, 1/2 cup of whipping cream, 1/4 of a cup of melted butter, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, and 1/2 to a 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper. I'm going to leave that up to you, and depending whether you want this in your butternut squash soup or not. Let me show you how we're going to cut down this butternut squash. With a chef's knife, I'm going to remove the top here. Be very careful when, and look how beautiful that is on the inside. And then cut your butternut squash in half. You may need to work with it until it goes completely through. Looky there at the inside. Lovely, beautiful colors. Be very, very careful and move your chef's knife working back and forth until it goes completely through. And now we're going to cut it down into quarters. Flat side down, as you can see, and then back and forth, cut it into quarters. Lie the flat side down, starting here at the top, back and forth with your chef's knife. And we've got seeds in the center of this one. Using a spoon, we're just going to go ahead and get out those fantastic seeds. Now there's probably a way to use those seeds, and if you find out a special way you're going to use them, please leave a comment below this video and let us all know. Once you get all the seeds out, there's a few more in there. You're going to lie this flat surface down. We're going to cut it in half until you've got these beautiful quarters of your butternut squash. We'll go ahead and do this one. Whoops, and I heard the beep go off. You want your oven preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect. Using a cookie sheet with sides, and I've lined it with tin foil just to make the cleanup a little easier. I'm going to go ahead and lie my butternut squash here in one even layer. With that melted butter, we're just going to go ahead and brush each butternut squash from corner to corner until we have all of our butternut squash buttered up. I've made this once before, and I'm here to tell you it will be one of your fall favorites once you learn how simple, easy, and delicious it is. We've got all that butter on. Generously sprinkle with our kosher salt until you have it evenly distributed. Okay, and that looks perfect. Now if you want to add less salt, you may. Now with that white cracked pepper, you may add as much or as little as you want. And like I said, if you want to opt out of using it at all, you may do that too. I didn't show you my garlic clove in the list of ingredients to use. So if you'd like to use your garlic cloves, roll it around in the butter. Leave it here where you've taken out the seeds to bake your butternut squash. If you're not a garlic fan, leave it out. But I absolutely love the flavor that this garlic gives this butternut squash soup. So off to the oven on the middle rack for 50 minutes or until fork tender. Use your timer and no peeking. Okay, gotta turn off that timer. I'm going to check the squash. It's been baking for 50 minutes. See how that fork goes right in? That is lovely and tender. So let's get it out of the oven. Be very careful. And we're going to pull it up here and let it sit, cool off for about 20 to 30 minutes before handling. And look how sizzling and beautiful that is. My squash has cooled enough to handle, as you can see. With the plate, grab one of my squashes because we want to remove the squash from the skin. And as you can see how beautiful that comes loose from the skin, just take your spoon, tilt it up, and pull the skin right off. I'm going to show you this one with that garlic in it. Now remember, if you don't like garlic, just, you know, you don't need to Bake it with garlic. Continue doing this to all your squash until you have all your squash scooped out of the skin. Look how much fabulous butternut squash we have. I'm getting the last bit off the skin here. Throw the skin away. Add this to a large Dutch oven over medium heat. Add our vegetable stock. This would be fantastic for you vegetarian lovers out there. Brush your squash with olive oil before baking and omit the butter. Once the soup comes to a boil, turn down the temperature, cover, and let it simmer for 20 minutes. Remove it off the heat, and then I'm adding this into a blender. Or if you want to use a food processor, you may do that too. Be very, very careful when working with hot liquids. If you want, cool this down slightly before adding it. The smell of this is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely everyone's favorite in my home during the fall season. Securely add your lid here. You may want to use a towel. Put a little pressure, and we're going to give it a lovely little blending. Blended this for about 30 to 40 seconds, and woo, look at that steam. But look how beautiful and creamy that is. I just got to give it a little try and see how silky and smooth it is. Oh yeah, here we go. Nice and hot. I'm just gonna see what kind of flavors I have in there. Wow, whoa, absolutely fantastic. If you want, you can add a little sweetness. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of maple syrup, or if you'd like to add honey, that'll be fine too. Add about maybe a tablespoon of maple syrup in there. That'll make it lovely and sweet. Although it wasn't bad without the maple syrup. Give it a little blending. Add it to a side pan, and look how lovely and creamy that is. Puree the rest of our soup, and I'll be back to show you how I'm going to finish it. Add your blended butternut squash soup back into the same pot you simmered it in. And I'm using a spatula to make sure I get all that deliciousness out of there. We're adding 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of whipping cream. Bring this to a simmer, warm it up slightly. And then we're going to check it for taste to make sure we have enough salt, enough pepper, enough sweetness. You can go ahead and twerk it the way you wish to eat it. I'm going to give it a little bit of a try. Wow. The perfect amount of seasonings. Addictive. Butternut squash soup's on. And look how rich and creamy and delicious that looks. You can garnish, this is optional, garnish with a little cheese. I'm using jack cheese, or you can use your favorite cheese with a little bit of parsley. We're going in for the taste. Absolutely fantastic. Creamy texture, a favorite fall soup. Hey, I'm Deronda with Foods 101, and just that little bit of maple syrup, just put it over the top for a little bit more sweetness. A perfect butternut squash soup for the fall. You're absolutely going to love it. Give me thumbs up, leave me a comment. Thanks a million for watching, you all. Follow me here on YouTube and Instagram, and I'll catch you lovely people later.